my life and what I've learned as a result of these messages has given me a deeper appreciation for life, a deeper awareness of how to live fully and meaningfully.
For over 20 years, Tyler Henry has built his entire career on revealing the secrets of others. But for almost half of those years, he's been sitting on one of his own.
When I'm communicating with someone, I don't know what they look like in life. I often won't know the gender, but the gender will sometimes come through more as a feeling. If I do know the gender, it's usually through a feeling. I'm not saying like blue or pink.
It was a single reading dating back to 2017. One so disturbing that he kept most of the details secret until today. Who is this person with secrets so vile that Tyler kept them buried for over 9 years? And what details has he been legally holding back this long time?
For me, I just wanted to share what I do. And because it's E, they wanted to go the more celebrity route.
Join us as we examine the clues and unpack all Tyler revealed about the most evil person he's ever worked with. The boy who kept getting it right. Long before Tyler could recognize evil in someone else, he had to survive it himself. And the clues leading to the current situation go all the way back to 2006. Welcome to Hanford, California, a small farming town in the San Joaquin Valley. 50,000 people live in this place, and it is quiet, conservative, and religious. Church was the only acceptable kind of supernatural in this town. Yet for his entire childhood, Tyler Henry Colowin called it home, being the only child of David and Teresa. By April 2006, he was 10 years old, and that month, his life changed forever. And it began with him waking up one midnight. He didn't feel sick or have a nightmare. Something woke him up that night, something he would describe 18 years later on Howie Mandel Does Stuff as a state of knowingness and urgency. Somehow he knew that his grandmother was about to die, and his mother needed to know about it. He got out of bed and walked into his mother's room. Teresa woke up to her son trying to tell her his thoughts, but it came off as mindless rambling, as it was the son's first time feeling that way. The rambling went on for several minutes, and his mother tried to listen. While Tyler was still talking, the phone rang. It was his father, David, and the news was the same feeling Tyler explained and was trying to justify. The old woman had died. Teresa was the most shocked person. Not only was she hearing the bad news from her husband, but she was hearing it right in the middle of Tyler describing it to her. Tyler Henry would later recall this moment in a 2019 interview with Phoenix magazine that the experience was like having a memory of something he had not experienced yet. Like nostalgia for an event that hadn't happened yet. But at age 10, young Tyler didn't have the right words to describe this, so the best he could do was ramble until confirmation came. For his mother, Teresa, it was the first time she understood that her son was different. She couldn't explain what it was, but she knew. Future events would show many frightening secrets associated with his event. But for now, all he knew was that his grandmother had just died, and somehow he had known it first. But even at the time, life was only going to get harder for young Tyler Henry. When he enrolled at Sierra Pacific High School, the odds were stacked against him from the start. For one, the school served grades 9 through 12 in the Hanford Joint Union High School District. This was a very conservative and deeply religious community. As we've covered, church worship was the only supernatural thing considered normal, while psychics and mediums were seen as evil and demonic. It didn't help that Tyler's abilities only grew more intense after foretelling his grandmother's death in April 2006. From that point, leading up to his early teens, he started receiving intuitive mental images about those around him. These weren't vague impressions based on gut feelings, but very specific. So specific that he would walk over to a classmate and tell something about an important person in their life that had passed away. He would present details no other person knew, As he would tell Jersey Magazine in 2019, by the time he was 13, he had experienced 3 straight years of these experiences. Information came through whether he was looking for it or not. Feelings so strong that he couldn't live with himself without talking to those he got those readings about. As a result, he started doing readings for classmates and teachers at the school. Doing this regularly was natural and unavoidable at this point, and one incident that stuck out to him several years after was the time he was walking around the school track next to a student and suddenly started asking whether he had an uncle named Salvador. The answer was yes, and what made this moment stand out was how quickly it spread beyond the school into the entire town. But for a community deeply rooted in religion, many weren't comfortable with it. Having a boy who claimed to speak to the dead moving freely and doing his thing felt scornful and discomforting to some. Tyler, however, was mentally prepared for this. As he'd tell in interviews later on, this wasn't the first time he was treated like garbage for having the impressions he had. One time in elementary school, a woman in the community publicly pronounced him evil and organized a prayer circle to pray the demons away. That experience stayed with him, and the pain over the years made him feel prepared for the worst. The bullying in high school was consistent, and sooner or later, he'd have to figure out how to use his abilities to defend himself. One time, as he would tell Build Series in a future conversation, Tyler Henry went to a school bathroom during break to wash his hands, only to get locked in and beaten up by a young gang. Unable to retaliate physically, Tyler confronted the bully by telling the most horrifically accurate details about his life. Or more specifically, that he knew he had been crying with his dad the night before because of his aunt's death, and that he'd seen a car accident connected to her. That was enough to stop the bullies, stopping the violence from escalating. He learned the hard way that the bullying had less to do with his gifts as a medium. If anything, that was what made people more fearful of him. Instead, it had more to do with his sexuality. 2 unique traits about him that stood out the most were things Hanford didn't have much tolerance for at the time. Then, the discomfort got so intense that he had to leave public school to try homeschooling instead. Learning at his own pace without constant distractions allowed him to graduate early at 16. After that, he enrolled at West Hills College in Coalinga, California, with a clear ambition in mind. He was going to become a hospice nurse, believing at the time that helping people struggling mentally at the end of their lives with lots of regrets and losses would be the right use of what he could do. Tyler Henry didn't finish that degree, as he found deeper meaning doing private readings at the Cosmic Coral, a local spiritual shop. One of the shop's owners, Tom McGuire, reported that Tyler was 16 when he came in for the first time. He was described as very intelligent. McGuire and his wife quickly took a liking to Tyler and became early mentors who encouraged him to consider doing readings as a career instead. He was charging $40 for each private session at the time. But as we'll see, he was painfully unaware of the horrors that lay ahead. Tyler's most dangerous and tragic readings. Sometime in 2024, on the Howie Mandel Does Stuff podcast, Tyler Henry was brought in as a guest and was asked about the most frightening encounters in his career as a medium. During the talk, he described one moment when he was lying on his bed at his family home in Hanford. It was daytime, and he was faking sleep on his bed, lying face down on the pillow. He heard his mother step into the room to check on him, or so he thought. He felt a hand run slowly through his hair, giving him a loving scalp massage. The sensation felt warm and natural, the kind of thing a parent would do. But then, the hand tightened, forcefully pushing his head into the pillow. He thought for a moment that his mother was playfully punishing him for faking sleep. But this was crossing a line, as each time he tried to push himself up to breathe, the hand would violently push him deeper into the pillow. He tried his best to breathe, but to no avail. Panic began to set in, and with the little strength he had, he yelled out. That was when his mother Teresa came running into the room from somewhere else in the house. Apparently, she was never in the room. She had never touched him before now. And neither was he the one who pushed his face into the pillow. So who or what was responsible for this? For many years, Tyler never identified what the presence was, but described it as simply a type of subjective disturbance associated with a physical location rather than a specific spirit. This was interpreted as poltergeist activity, something more common but still rare among young children going through puberty. Fast forward to 2016, and Tyler's success at the shop at his hometown took him far beyond doing $40 readings, as his show, Hollywood Medium with Tyler Henry, had premiered on E! In January 2016. He was 19 years old at the time, and the show was an immediate success. Each episode drew in close to 900,000, and for the first time, he was sitting across from some of the most recognizable names in entertainment and delivering readings that left them in tears. That same year, two things happened that would later become the most discussed and most debated moments of his entire career. Both cases involved real people and warnings that were not taken seriously. And in one case, whatever Tyler sensed in the room was never allowed to air at all. Case 1 happened on August 31st at the home of a senior named Alan Thicke, who lived in Los Angeles, California. He was 69 years old and a Canadian-American actor who got popular for playing Jason Seaver on the old television series Growing Pains, which ran on ABC from 1985 to 1992. He was also the father of singer Robin Thicke. His wife Tanya had requested the reading. Alan Thicke, on the other hand, was very skeptical of Tyler. So when he arrived at Thicke's home and began the reading, based on accounts published by E! Online, The Hollywood Reporter, and Today, the session moved through several topics before Tyler stopped and shifted his focus entirely to Thicke's health. He told Tanya's husband directly that he needed to take his health a bit more seriously. All the men in his family had a pattern for struggling with illnesses related to bad blood pressure, as well as heart murmurs and arrhythmia. Tyler continued by describing a man from his family who had passed away from one of those heart conditions and was coming through with a specific message. The man's message was direct. Don't be stubborn like I was. See a doctor. But in response to Tyler's warnings, Alan Thicke pushed back. He told Tyler that except for his sister, who had open heart surgery, there was no significant history of heart disease in his family. He was not convinced, and quickly thanked Tyler before parting ways. That session was filmed in August 2016, but the footage was held back and not aired along with the other episodes put together. Part of the reason was that Alan Thicke had collapsed while playing hockey with his son at a Burbank ice rink on December 13th of that same year. He was pronounced dead that same day at 69 years old. The official cause of death listed on his death certificate was a ruptured aorta and a Stanford Type A aortic dissection. His heart gave out exactly the way Tyler had described, 3 months and 13 days after the warning came, and was ignored. E! Network brought Tyler back to the Thicke family home 2 months after Alan's death to sit with his widow Tanya and watch the footage together. This episode aired on May 31st, 2017. Tanya watched her late husband dismiss Tyler's warning on camera and said afterwards, skeptically saying everything Tyler warned about was as unbelievable as he anticipated. She confirmed that after the reading, Alan had not gone to see a doctor. He had not taken the warning seriously. The couple had also been planning to have a child through in vitro fertilization at the time of the reading. Tyler had told them during the session that he did not see a child in Alan's future. That detail also proved accurate, but was seen as irrelevant too. The second case was on a whole different level. It happened at NBC Studios in New York City that same summer. Tyler sat down with Matt Lauer at NBC's Today Show in New York City. The reading was arranged as a promotional appearance for the third season of Hollywood Medium, where Tyler would air the original tape of his encounter with Alan Thicke. Matt Lauer, at that point, was one of the most powerful television anchors in the United States. He had been a co-host of the Today Show since 1997, with an annual salary reported by Forbes and Variety to be between $20 and $25 million. Tyler was given a pocket knife belonging to Lauer's maternal grandfather and began the session. From what he described, a fatherly figure came through strongly. Lauer confirmed it was his father, who had passed away in 1997 and had spent the final weeks of his life at home under hospice care. Tyler described the symbol of a phone held to someone's ear in an unconscious state, which Lauer confirmed matched the circumstances of his father's death. Tyler then connected Lauer to the image of a man sitting alone on a boat, fishing, and thinking about his father. Lauer confirmed that fishing was one of the two passions his father had passed on to him, and that he now fished alone. After the session, Lauer told his Today co-hosts he had gone home and cried. He described the experience as one of the most emotional of his life. Tyler wrote on Twitter on August 1, 2016, that it was one of his favorite readings yet. But then, on November 29, 2017, 16 months after the reading, there was horrific news: the scandals and Tyler's big revelation. It began with NBC News canceling Matt Lauer's employment. This happened when an unidentified female NBC employee had legally opened up about a case of sexual harassment by him in the workplace. The NBC chairman, Andrew Lack, sent a memo to staff stating the network had reason to believe the complaint was not an isolated incident. And just as he predicted, many other accusers came forward in the days that followed. More details were published in 2019 by leading journalist Ronan Farrow. His book, titled Catch and Kill, has an account from a woman named Brooke Nevels who accused Lauer of sexual misconduct in his hotel room during the 2014 Winter Olympics in Russia. Lauer confirmed that he did have a sexual relationship with Nevels, but insisted that it was just as consensual as he was. Still, it was difficult to trust him in this situation, so much so that he admitted in a public statement that there was enough truth in the allegations to make him feel embarrassed and ashamed. After the news broke in 2017, fans flooded the comment section of the Henry Lauer YouTube clip, pointing out Henry's failure to see the scandal coming. The reading aged badly in public memory, and it became a regular reference point in broader debates about the reliability of Henry's readings. But that was only the start. In Season 2 of his show, which was filmed that year, Henry sat down with Khloe Kardashian to do a reading. During that session, Kardashian asked him directly about her relationship with her then-boyfriend Tristan Thompson. While Henry pointed out that physical distance and the couple's conflicting travel schedules could be a cause for concern, that was not the main reason they ultimately split up. In fact, Henry even told her towards the end that things in their relationship would be fine, and there was little to nothing to worry about. But just 1 year later, Khloe's boyfriend's serial infidelity came to light just days before she gave birth to their first child. Critics were quick to point out that this was a highly publicized cheating scandal that Henry had completely failed to predict in his earlier reading. On top of that, the Tristan Thompson cheating scandals were far from over. In February 2019, news broke that Thompson had cheated on Kardashian again with Jordan Woods, who was the best friend of Kylie Jenner, and considered an unofficial foster sister of the family. Worse yet, this happened after Henry had done a second reading in 2017, where he mentioned a situation where someone tries to get with one sister and then gets with another. To most people, this was a vague reading that could have been applied to many Hollywood stars going through breakups and cheating scandals at the time. It went so viral that it seemed reporters in interviews were referring to it as a way of trapping Henry into counting that as a prediction. The Kardashian readings remain the most cited example of Henry missing something large and obvious in the life of a client who asked him directly about it. This brought up an older event from the first season, many once dismissed as a stubborn client. Tyler Henry sat down with Boy George, who admitted up front that he was uncomfortable talking with people who had passed away. Throughout the reading, Boy George struggled to validate what Henry was telling him. Henry admitted this alone made things difficult to read. To be specific, Boy George refused to accept what Henry predicted about his love life. Tyler got frustrated with this, and the tension between the two of them got bad enough that Boy George's manager, who was watching from another room, got irritated with the uncooperative attitude and came out to push Boy George to continue. Eventually, Boy George relented and finished the reading. Henry later called it one of his trickiest readings. And in an interview 8 years later, he acknowledged the Boy George session was among the hardest he had done, though he confirmed they were getting along now. Now, many critics pointed to the episode as proof that Henry's process depends heavily on a cooperative subject who confirms details and gives enough clues for a reliable prediction that had nothing supernatural about it. Whenever those clues are withheld by the client, the reading stalls. Fast forward 8 years, and Live from the Other Side debuted September 17, 2024. Skeptical Inquirer's Susan Gerbic found that in 2 of the 4 episodes she reviewed, Henry opened up with a line that covered at least half of the country's population. In one case, he asked if there was anyone the client knew who survived or dealt with a female cancer scare that was cervical, breast, ovarian, or uterine. By naming 4 organs and adding words that applied to most people getting a cancer diagnosis, Henry was supposedly throwing a dart at a target covering half the population. In another episode, Tyler told Harry Jowsey to keep working when he wanted a break from work. Nothing else of importance was revealed from that reading. Yet, on December 4th of that year, the client announced his father had died, an event Henry had never mentioned. All these scandals that brought immense scrutiny even over past events stemmed from the Lauer situation in 2017. So to finally clear the air, Tyler Henry came forward with an announcement that confirmed what many fans suspected all along. According to Tyler, the original session was recorded for over an hour. Many details were revealed, but as he agreed with all his clients, only the aspects they were comfortable with would make the final cut. As a result, the 1-hour video got trimmed down to just a few minutes. He confirmed all of this in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, stating that a huge part of his job is being legally bound to respect the privacy of his clients, even though the details get disturbing. So, what do you think? Would you like Tyler to read your future too? Is the recent announcement believable, or is it just a made-up story to put down controversy? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.